What's happening, fantasy sports fans? Thank you for coming over to the DFS 5-pack. It is Thursday, the 22nd of October. No World Series game tonight. Thank God the NFL dropped one of their games of the year right here as the 0-16 Eagles take on the 0-16 New York Giants. Sadly, both of these teams still alive in their divisional race.
It's pathetic. You mentioned it yesterday, and I kind of forgot about it, but you're so right, man. The tie that Philly had against Cincy, everyone gave them so much shit about it, but that could end up being their saving grace.
I mean,
like it's more likely to help them than hurt them because all those teams have losing records in that division. A tie is obviously better than a loss.
What would you think about the NFL adding a rule that in order for a division winner to make the playoffs, they have to be a minimum 8-8?
I'd rather see them just kind of take away division winners altogether. Like still have the divisions and stuff, but as opposed to what you just said, I'd rather just have it be like, all records or whatever they want to do.
Right, like I don't like the look of like the Arizona Cardinals or the Rams going like 9-7 or 10-6 this year and missing out on a playoff spot, while the Washington football team goes 6-10 and gets to go and represent the NFC East.
Have you ever heard the term on another note? The rich just keep getting richer. That's the Ravens right now. Just acquired Yannick Ngakoue from Minnesota. They got him from Jacksonville over the offseason. It's like, wow, like what else do they need?
Well, it's a difference between a well-run organization like the Baltimore Ravens and a bunch of other teams out there.
Agreed.
All right, guys. So, a lot to talk about before we get into it. Worked with my website designer last night in order to adjust the pricing on the NFL package for the rest of the year. Clearly, we're coming up on the halfway point of the season, so knock the price down to $69. LOL, ha ha ha, very funny, right? This is what you get by purchasing the NFL package. So you're going to get weeks 7 through 17 with us, the DFS 5-pack. That's going to include the playoffs as well. It's a one-time payment. You're getting cash and GPP summaries for the main slate. They're also the physical write-up for the primetime slate. We do private videos for the Monday and Thursday showdowns where we go through roster construction. We talk through every player. You got this for primetime. You got this for main slate. We do private videos now addressing customer questions throughout the week with really only one sport going. There's a lot more, so it's excellent for your dollar. The link to the website is below. We'll also be covering, at least with video form, some random like afternoons and random showdowns and things like that. Individual customer attention. It's probably the best bang for buck you can ever get with the DFS 5-pack. So head on over to the website for only $69. You will get the rest of the NFL season. Let's go out and conquer this bad boy the rest of the year and win ourselves some money. And head on over to Overlay. Guys, I don't know what you'd be waiting for. The matchup shop is go on Twitter and check out all the parlays people are running. There's a lot of fun to be had over here. I already dropped Gronk over Ingram. Yesterday we talked about Wentz over Daniel Jones. That line has moved steadily in favor of not being the good play that it was yesterday. So the matchup shop is fun. We'll get into the progressive jackpot totals later this week when they're dropped. But I would encourage people to check out the matchup shop.
I would too. Had a nice night last night. Snell with an easy win over Gonsolin. I felt bad. So easy. I'm looking forward to talking out this NFL week with you too.
I had an okay night in the sense that I broke even and I had every pick right except for one, but I ran way too much Manuel Margot over Brandon Lau. So Brandon Lau helped me win on DraftKings really, really easily. But I had that one mixed into all of my parlays, which I was like 3-1, 4-1 and stuff like that. And then I had too much money on Margot, who was really good. But he wasn't as good as double home run Brandon Lau. First two opposite field home runs of the year. Big night for him. That's a big help for the Rays.
Agreed.
Get him off the snide like that. They got to feel real good about that. Who do you have winning the rest of the World Series?
Oh, man. I think it's a really tight one. It's hard against the Dodgers because I think they're the better team. But, I think these bullpen games are going to catch up to them. I don't even get it how we got to the point where they only have two starting pitchers, Kershaw and Buehler. Doesn't even make sense to me. Why are they not just starting Urias in one of these games? It makes no sense.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyways, guys, subscribe to this channel. We can do more baseball talk tomorrow as I'm with you on a lot of those points. So let's start, as we usually do on the showdowns, with your Keep It Simple, Stupid, your Occam's Razor play of the day, and that's going to be Carson Wentz, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's got no linemen. He's got very few skill position guys that he wants to count on, i.e. Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. They're all out. This is actually like where Carson Wentz seems to get his best fantasy days, is when he's putting together with nothing but smoke and mirrors out there. They do get Deshaun Jackson back tonight. So even though they lost Ertz and Miles Sanders, they do get him back at least. If you're looking for something, you got that. It's not a great spot with missing all those guys, but this slate's ugly. Where else are you going for safe points? The thing I like about Carson Wentz is he's like, all right, man, I got nobody to throw to. We're putting it together with smoke and mirrors over here. At least I'll scramble. He's got good scrambling days in 3 of his last 4.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's finally been productive, not only from a real life standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint, but a top 12 QB the last month, last 4 games. As much shit as he's gotten, and he's deserved it all year, like we talked about at the beginning of this, Philly's right in line for a playoff spot, and they're probably the favorites. They're right up there with the favorites to win this division. It's a good spot for them. They didn't win last week, but they played really well against Baltimore, especially in the second half. I look at that as hopefully a momentum boost for them. And you hit the nail on the head. There just aren't many good plays on the slate. We know that quarterbacks are usually the place to look at to start on these showdown slates, and I see no reason to fade Wentz unless you're really just trying to be different, honestly.
He projects to be one of the more popular captains of the night, and I think he makes a lot of sense in the captain position in your cash games personally.
Agreed.
All right. Next up, Devonta Freeman. So here's a question for y'all. How bad is the New York Giants offense? It's so bad that the focal point of their offense is now a guy that nobody really wanted to sign in the offseason. So Freeman is now getting basically every touch at the running back position. Last week, Wayne Gallman was on the field for about 8% of snaps, didn't touch the ball. Dion Lewis had 1 catch for 10 yards. Other than that, everything went to Devonta Freeman. So throughout a large portion of my life, the Philadelphia run defense has been really good. It's not this year. I'm not saying it's pathetic or putrid or anything like that, but it's not very good. So Freeman could, definitely find his way into 50, 60, maybe 70 yards on the ground. If they're getting goal line carries, they are going to go to him. He is slightly involved in the passing game. So it is not a very sexy slate with great plays, but it's so bad that I think Devonta Freeman is one of the better plays on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, as sad as it is, it's true. The Giants are not good offensively, and as sad as it is, Freeman's like their main focal point. Now they're getting Sterling Shepard back, so they have some pieces in the passing game. Probably only helps their running game here. I mean, New York's a bad football team. We've talked about this. This is not a game we'd be looking at on a main slate. It's not a main slate, though. Freeman's going to get the majority of the touches for a Giants team that I'm not going to be shocked if they win this game. I feel like when we're talking about this game, when other people are talking about this game, it's almost just a conclusion that the Eagles are going to win here, that the Eagles are the more desirable side. And I get that because they are the more desirable side. The Giants are awful, but the Eagles aren't that good themselves. So I think you can really take a look at going heavy Giants in tournaments also.
Sure. I don't expect a ton of points in this game. So absolutely. I mean, it's a nice slate if you like to get weird with things, which I know you prefer that in baseball, but you don't mind doing it in football from time to time. Get a little weird with it tonight. There are no crush plays. Carson Wentz, for my money, is the best play on paper, but I don't think dude's going out there and putting up 30 tonight. I think he's got your best opportunity performance on one, but that's not slate breaking type of stuff. It's going to get ugly tonight. So it's a good night to get weird with it.
I'm with you 100%.
All right. Next up, speaking of getting weird with it, Richard Rodgers is now a thing. Former Green Bay Packer, best known for catching the Hail Mary in Motown. He is now a thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got 9 catches for 99 yards this year. Is that great? No, it's not. But guess what? Goddard's been gone for a while now. Zach Ertz is now out. This is the starting tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles for a quarterback in Carson Wentz, who's got a lot of good experience throwing to tight ends. Now, is that because Zach Ertz is really good? Part of it. Part of it is Carson Wentz clearly likes to target the tight end. So I do think Richard Rodgers, while not being a great football player, is a candidate for red zone. I think a touchdown on slate means a ton.
Yeah, agreed. I'm actually surprised he has 9 catches for 99 yards. So that should tell you all you need to know. But listen, you're right. He's not a great football player, but he's in a nice spot right now. I heard Adam Levitan talking that right when quarantine started, Richard Rodgers was playing pickup basketball with Richard Rodgers. Life comes at you fast, man. Now he's the starting tight end on Thursday Night Football. I'm all about it. We've seen him be okay in the past with Aaron Rodgers. Wentz is not Aaron Rodgers, but one thing Wentz really likes to do is throw to his tight ends. You talked about Ertz, Goddard. Those guys aren't there. I mean, Rodgers could have 7 targets here, and no one would be surprised at all.
No, this game could work out too. Like, I'm not surprised if the Giants get an early lead and Philly's scrambling to throw. We've seen both of these teams have really really bad games, occasionally play well at times. They're not very good football teams, and even though Philly, I think, is the better team, if they're all of a sudden down 14 and scrambling to get yards, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Same. It's funny. You were saying, we've seen these teams play, you were going to say, we haven't seen them play really good games. And I was going to say, we've seen these teams play really bad games and then really
bad games.
Yeah, exactly. And then just okay, bad games.
Yeah, they're bad football teams. There's no question about it. Philly, set the season up to be like a mediocre football team, but with an abundance of injuries again, they've went from mediocre, hopefully, to not even close.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so speaking of the tight end position, this slate has a couple of guys from the Philadelphia Eagles, like secondary tight ends, Jason Kroom, and they got another guy named Butler. I don't see anywhere else that Kroom's listed as questionable, but they have him on DraftKings as questionable. At $200, he's very low risk. We've talked about this repeatedly throughout the year. You can win with a zero from a $200 guy. Done it before. Probably not going to win a GPP with it, but you can cash in GPPs and win cash games with the guy with a zero. Very low risk. Caught a touchdown last week. And what this does, by putting him in one of your spots, you can basically roster 5 studs, including a stud at the captain position, because none of these studs are super expensive because they're not truly studs.
Yeah, exactly. There are no quote-unquote studs on this slate, so the guys that you're going to want to spend up for aren't that expensive, like we've seen on some other slates, specifically Monday night, when there are expensive guys all over the place. I'm with you. It really helps because there are more expensive guys on this slate, and by rostering a guy like Kroom, it lets you roster every single person you want, basically. The only guys you can't get are just because you can only roster 6 guys, not because you can't afford them.
Man, he caught a touchdown last week, right? Like, I know he's only got 1 catch on the year, but it went for pay dirt last week. Now there's no Ertz, there's no Goddard. Richard Rodgers is your number 1 tight end. But this is another one of those situations, like, at the end of the day, are you surprised if, like, say Rodgers drops 2 balls, which, he's very capable of doing, all of a sudden Kroom's out there for more plays than Rodgers? I'm not surprised by it. It's not what I would call for. It's not what I would bet on, but it wouldn't be flabbergasting. You can get him at a much lower price. You can play him together. You can play him separately. Do whatever you want to do here because, like we had talked about earlier, it's a good slate to get weird with it. And this allows you to roster 5 other, I'm using air quotes here, guys, studs, because this game doesn't have real studs. So I don't think he's a must or anything like that. I'm just saying if you're trying to get 5, high money players in here, there's ways to do it.
For sure.
All right. So the last guy I want to talk about is Travis Fulgham, coming off of back-to-back really big weeks and 3 straight weeks of scoring a touchdown. I want to be very, very clear with this. This is not a must-play recommendation. So I wanted to talk him out with the public. He is a guy that I expect to get a pretty decent number of owners tonight. I know earlier this week I was watching a Showdown video, and I think Al Schmizel said that he projects out to be the highest captain player on the slate. And while I don't necessarily agree with that, he will have some love at the captain position today. So what we discussed in the members-only video is I think the idea of the GPP fade right here is very enticing. One, he does get Deshaun Jackson back tonight, who I think if you want to look at him as the number 1 wide receiver, okay, I don't really know who Philly, looks at as their number 1 guy right now. But Fulgham, his resume of success is a very short list, right? It's really just back-to-back weeks. However, he's the likely candidate to draw coverage from Bradbury, who has been one of the better corners in the NFL this year. For a while, he was ranked as PFF's number 1 cover corner in football. And I don't know if everybody knows that, and the recency bias on Fulgham alone will get him large ownership.
Yeah, I'm with you. The point of Fulgham is, like, if Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson were back, like, we don't even know what his role would be. Now, all of a sudden, just because Jeffrey's still out, he'll probably be getting the number 1 corner on the Giants. And this is going to be the toughest matchup he's had to date by far. So I'm with you. Like, it's a risky fade because he's one of the better players on the slate, at least production-wise, the past couple weeks. But as you also mentioned, it's not like he's been good for that long, 2 weeks max. So it wouldn't be crazy to see him come crashing down to earth in a really tough matchup if Bradbury's, locked onto him.
Yeah, which is what I've read. I talked to another DFS buddy of mine who really studies the cornerback matchups a lot. He expects Bradbury to be on Travis Fulgham. Doesn't mean that's the way that it is, right? We don't have any control over this, but that's what I've read, and that's what He's usually right about stuff like this. So I would tend to lean in that direction. And I think because the New York Giants are so bad at the game of football, that a lot of people don't necessarily know just how good Bradbury is. This is a guy that used to make Mike Evans look, who was obviously a very good wide receiver, not look very good occasionally. He's got some skills at the number one cornerback type of position. So he's a good player. He's done a good job on some good wide receivers this year. So, I like the idea of getting different with it. You got Greg Ward, you got Richard Rodgers in the tight ends that we mentioned. You have Deshaun Jackson. There's other ways they could get involved. Boston Scott could have 8 catches in this game. Who really knows? It doesn't have to be Fulgham. And I know he's been awesome the last 2 weeks, but this is also a different type of game in the essence that they were playing come from behind football the last 2 weeks and desperately trying to get their offense going. This could be one of those games where it's a lot of boringness because at no point does the Giants offense light it up and Philly is desperately trying to heave the ball down the field.
I'm with you, man. Down a ton of points in this game, and why this Giants defense has actually been okay instead of awful.
Yeah, the Giants offense is so terrible and can't sustain drives. So, the defense is on the field a lot. And their numbers aren't horrendous. The Giants defense has played okay this year. I won't go as far as to say admirable, but as you so eloquently put it in the Showdown members only video, like who's better, the Giants defense or their offense? It's not even close.
Not even close.
Now, it doesn't take much to be better than the Giants offense, but it's not close nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. So we see this pretty eye to eye. And man, I feel like I started this video talking about the Ravens, right? That was this video where I said they traded for Ngakoue.
Yes.
Well, since then, they've also signed Dez Bryant, which who knows who he is at this point. But man, as I said at the beginning, the rich just get richer.
I mean, that doesn't do much for me. So watch Dez go out there and just light it up the rest of the year personally.
For me, it's like if a team like the Ravens likes him, it means something to me.
Why hasn't anybody else signed him for so long? You know what I mean? I know he had his hot minute with the Saints and he got injured, and he wasn't that good on the Cowboys 5 years ago, the last time we saw him, wherever it was. So I'm with you on the sense that, if the Ravens do something, it usually means something to me because I think they're one of the best run organizations in all of football. I just struggle to see that as a difference maker for me. And I don't know, Dez proved me wrong. I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, I have more hope than you do, but I don't think you're crazy in your take.
Yeah, but I think that's us in general, right? When we look at older players, a lot of times, I'm often probably too quick to think they suck. Sometimes you hold on to a little bit too long. Not say it's always that way. Sometimes we put our game down, flip it, reverse it, and I'll hold on to somebody for too long, and you'll look at them a different way. But I dismiss guys quicker than you do, right or wrong.
Definitely. I'm with that 100%.
So, all right, guys. Good luck tonight. Drop a like on the video. Get ugly with it because it is one of the ugliest Thursday night football games, and that means a lot because Thursday night football is often ugly.
Thanks, guys.